Hi everybody, welcome back to The Vegan View. We have a very special guest this episode. We have my friend Nia Gatica here with us. She is a female extraordinaire. She is the founder of Sugar Taco, which if you're in LA, we all know and love. And she's also the founder of Azúcar Tequila and The Plant Butchers opening up soon in Long Beach. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So excited to have you here. Like, I'd been talking to them like forever. I'm like, we have to have her on the show. Like, she does so much for the community, and she's everywhere. Like, everyone knows Sugar Taco. So
yeah, we love Sugar Taco too. So
So you mentioned that you've been vegan since you're 16 off camera. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I actually went vegetarian around 11 years old.
Wow.
And it's like one of those, I'm sure a lot of us have these memories. I was literally eating a cheeseburger and I was sitting across from my mom at the table and I took a bite and I was like, wait a minute, do cows die and then we make them cheeseburgers, or do we kill them to make cheeseburgers? And she was like, no, like we kill them to make cheeseburgers. And I like put it down and I ran out of the room screaming, crying. And I didn't know there was a word for vegetarian, but I was just like refusing to eat. And then randomly on Disney Channel, they did like a profile like that same week of kids around the world who are vegetarian. So I marched out of my room and I was like, I'm a vegetarian. And my parents laughed. I mean, my mom's Mexican, my dad's from the deep South. Like, it's a lot of meat and dairy, like on both sides. And yeah, they just, I think after a few days of me just refusing most of what they were feeding me, my mom went to the grocery store and bought like vegan bologna, which at that time, like, that was like, and like, just I think a lot of cheese. I definitely ate a lot of like cheese heavy diet, but, and Boca burgers. And so yeah, I became vegetarian super young. I was like the only vegetarian I knew my whole life. And then in high school, I realized, I just like eating something, and I thought, you know, given the way animals are treated on like meat farms, it doesn't really seem like they're probably treated any better on egg and dairy farms. Why don't I go on the computer, like dial up, and just wait for that, and then okay, dial up, and then just Google it. And I went to like the PETA website, and lo and behold, they were not treated well at all. And I was like, just sat there probably crying in front of the computer for like a couple hours, and then was like, well, okay, I can't eat this anymore. I guess I am gonna be one of those crazy vegans that I said I would never be. And so then I did. I became the token crazy vegan at school. I went to, I was like forced to go to a private all-girls Catholic high school on a scholarship with like kids that grew up like in a very different way from me. And so then also I was like, I'm vegan and you shouldn't eat this and whatever. It was just like kind of hilarious. There was not any other, like, there was not even a vegetarian at the school.
Right.
But a lot of those girls, ones who bullied me, are vegan now. So
that's how it always works.
Yeah. That's just how it goes. Yeah, I'm sure they're like in your DMs too, like, hey girl, what's going on?
The amount of times that I hear that story, like the girls that bully you in high school are the ones that later in life are like, hey, how's it going?
Oh my gosh,
Like, I have girls that bullied me that are constant. They follow me and they're always watching my stories. They're always in my DMs, and I'm like, I leave you on the requested.
Oh, me too.
Or they're trying to.
I saw it, but you're not gonna know.
They're trying to get you on Arbonne.
Oh my
They're
god!
like,
Always.
Arbonne.
I have an amazing vegan.
And I had $1 for every time.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Fizz Sticks? Are you even vegan? Oh, you're not?
So where did you grow up? Well, was it California or somewhere else?
Yeah, I was born in East LA,
Oh, okay.
and then I grew up in the Inland Empire and like Ontario area.
Okay, nice. We talk about this a lot, like, and I'm interested to know from your perspective, like, what do you think gave you the strength at that point in time to like be the only vegan in your school, and like, where did that confidence come from?
I just really loved animals. I mean, that was mostly what it is. I was like very, very drawn to animals from a young age. Like, there's a home video of like on a camcorder of me at Disneyland with like baby ducks following me around. Like, I was just like, and I would find stray animals anywhere and everywhere. Like, I've been breastfeeding animals since I was 5 years old. Like, I would just bring them home and be like, we have to take care of them. And then I would find them a home, or we would keep them. And yeah, I think that's just what it was. I had an extreme love and connection to them, and I like knew beyond shadow of a doubt, like these beings have souls. Their life purpose is not to become our food or to serve us. So like I can't, like, you know, it doesn't make sense to live my life.
Run that back. Yes.
Exactly.
Say it again for the people in the back. Yes.
How do you argue that? Like,
How do you
can
argue that?
dietary stuff all day long, but how do you argue the compassionate side of it? Like
Right.
the ethical side of it? Like they're living beings.
Exactly.
They have eyes, they have ears, they eat to survive just like we do. Like
They
how
don't
do you
wanna
not see
die.
the connection between us? And
Yeah,
them,
and
you
exactly
know?
like you say, you can't tell me that that's their purpose, is to be
Right.
born into this world, fed so that they can get fat enough for us to eat them.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that's their only purpose on this planet.
Right.
Like,
And then for the people who do, for like whatever, if it's where I grew up, and obviously my school was like a lot of very religious beliefs of like God created animals like for us to eat and stuff. So it's like, okay, even if you believed that, how could you look at the factory farm system and think like, this is what God, or this is what any compassionate being would want, because that is so far out of line with like anything even remotely acceptable. And so I just think like, it's just choosing to be blind at that point.
Yeah.
yeah.
I also really love that your mom was honest with you, because I had a very similar experience. Like, I'm from Bulgaria and we lived there for 2 years when I was 7, and I heard a pig being like killed essentially, because they would kill, which I kind of respect a little bit more than factory farms, obviously,
yeah.
because at least they're facing it,
Yeah.
which I think is a little sociopathic, but you know, whatever. I heard a pig screaming, and I asked my parents, I was like, why are they killing that pig? And they lied to me and told me the pig is sick and that's why they're killing it so that we can eat it. And that night I didn't eat the pig because I knew what it was. And I remember like my dad getting upset with me that I wouldn't eat it. And I wish that they had been honest with me and been like, yeah, we kill them, and you know, they're not sick, and this is just the process. So I love that your mom was honest with you.
Yeah, me too. And she, you know, other than that first like initial response where she like laughed, she's always been super supportive, and now she's vegetarian, but like eats a lot of vegan food. My dad was like so staunchly against it, and he's come a long way. I mean, he eats primarily vegetarian.
That's
So
awesome.
he's
That's
vegan all the
amazing.
time, like, so. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. My parents too, when I went vegan because of Earthlings, and I forced them to sit down and watch it, and I would come out and check on them while they were watching it, and they both just had that look of horror in their eyes. So ever since then, they've been super supportive, and you know, my dad eats vegetarian. He tries, he still eats fish, but you know, he comes from a heavy meat culture, I appreciate any effort.
Yeah. So at what point in your life did your activism turn into entrepreneurship? Because you have so many amazing ventures, and I would just love to hear more about how that process started and like what's coming and what's next.
Yeah, so I mean, I was kind of like all over the place. I was very, very much an activist. I was doing animal rescue like my whole life. I don't think I'd ever really had a focused career path. I'm an artist, so I was like doing theater, I was doing like spoken word, I was like doing random modeling jobs, like not ever any, like just like so all over the place. And what really changed, well, I kind of started getting into, because I taught myself how to cook and bake, because at the time there was not a lot of vegan food, especially in like Upland, Ontario where I was. There was literally nothing, so I had to learn how to cook. At the time I couldn't even make like a Kraft mac and cheese, like what I would make it wrong.
Yeah.
And so no one ever thought that I would end up like owning restaurants and like cooking and whatever, but yeah, I taught myself how to cook and bake, and then that turned into people being like, oh my god, this is really good, like you should, can I buy this, can you sell this, can you bring this to my party? So I started just really organically a little bit of a vegan catering business that was like mostly just baked goods, and I would help organizations like Beagle Freedom Project was my first organization that I like did the desserts for, and I love them, they're so dear to my heart. Shannon is amazing. Yeah, just some of the most incredible work for animals. And so I would do events like that, and then I kind of just like put it on the back burner. And what happened was my friend that I was working with on some rescue stuff at the time, she had been in hospitality, and she was gonna take her money out of a partnership because it wasn't fully vegan, and she had since gone vegan, and she just didn't feel like it aligned with her ethics anymore, even though they had a vegan menu and stuff. And she was like, I want to do a fully vegan restaurant. Would you want to do this with me? Like, you have the experience with food. Like, I obviously, like, I trust you and like think that you're really smart, and we work really well together. And I was just like, oh man, because I know the food industry, like I know that it's hard. And so we decided, okay, we're gonna do this. And then 3 days later, I took a pregnancy test and found out I was pregnant and was going to be a single mom.
Wow.
3 days after you decided to start the business?
3 days after, 3 days after we filed
I have
for the
chills just
business.
because I know how that life change feels
Yeah.
on top of another life change.
Yeah.
Like, that is just a lot.
Yeah, it was really scary. And I mean, and she was like, well, you can't do both. And everyone around me was like, you have to get an abortion if you're going to do this business. Or, and I'm super pro-choice, but like, or you have to, you know, not do the business and you're going to be a single mom and figure it out and like have a baby. And like, I even like literally made an abortion appointment because I like believed, I was listening to everyone around me. And again, I'm super pro-choice, but I went to this appointment to Planned Parenthood by myself. And my friend luckily called me like when I was on my way there and was like, I'm just thinking about you. And I told her what was happening. She was like, oh my God, I'm on my way. And they had like hooked me up to IV, like they were starting, and I just, everything in me had been screaming like, no, you're gonna have this, like you're supposed to have this baby. So like right before they like connected it, I was like, I think I need to go. Everyone like froze. And they're like, and my friend was like, she said she needs to go. She like, you heard her? You heard her? And I was like, yeah, I need to leave. And they're like, hold on, you have to sign paperwork. And I like signed it. And I just remember, like, it's one of the moments in my life where I just like I could feel my entire life changing in that moment. But the thing is, like, I chose to have my son, and he's like the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm so glad I listened to my intuition. Also, I don't think that this business or any of my businesses would exist without me making that choice, because I don't think I truly had the drive to be an entrepreneur, to stick with something as hard as that was, to learn everything I had to learn. Like, I think I really had to be in a place of like, there had to be something more than me motivating me. And for me, it was like, I am this child's sole provider. I am his sole everything. Like, if I want a better future for him, I'm gonna have to make it. So so that just like, we continued with the business, and when we were fundraising, I was either super pregnant or he was a newborn, and I was literally breastfeeding him in fundraising meetings. We were like meeting with people over the city. Even when we were like doing construction, I had him like strapped to my back. Like we did everything. Like, we did the demo of our first restaurant ourselves, like to like, make it more affordable. We painted everything in there. All the tables in our Melrose location are made from discarded pallets that I found on the street. That Rio, I just brought him along with me. Like, literally, I was carrying him, picking up pallets, like setting him in the back of the car and trying to lift up the thing by myself. Like, so it's very much a labor of love, and like just so interconnected with him and like with my like journey as a mother.
Oh my God, I love that so much, because
Sugar taco baby.
I can tell you, like, as you know, when
your second home.
when you announce your pregnancy and you start telling people in your life, that is something that gets brought up a lot. Is like, oh, what are you gonna do for work? Or like people ask me, are you still gonna do the vegan view? Oh, are you still gonna work full time? And I'm like, yeah, like more than ever, because exactly like you said, I now have this like fierce drive. It's not just about me anymore. It's about this baby. And like, not only do I want to be a good example for the baby, but I want to be able to provide like, and make sure that they have the best opportunities possible. So if anything, I'm more determined to work harder. And I just love that you carried him around for the ride. It's like, what a great example. I mean, I know he's young and maybe he didn't like fully process it, but like maybe he did. Maybe there were little seeds where he's like, my mom works hard. Like,
I still think, like, even if they can't remember it, like, all those experiences still like shape them.
Wow.
I love that so much.
So amazing.
I feel like I heard this recently, that babies, like, we don't think that they're conscious of anything that's happening in those like first couple of years, but a lot of it they actually are taking in, and it does shape who they become later on as a person. We just aren't aware of it.
And just that adaptability too. I'm sure now that he's older, he's probably a really like adaptable kid. Like, you can probably just take him everywhere and he's like totally fine, like hanging out,
Even as a baby, he was the most chill baby, actually very different from my youngest.
They always say you have one of each. If you're a person who is chill, you're next to
my youngest, like I was not in like that like survival mode, that I was with him. Like with him, it was like I didn't have anywhere else for him to go. He had to go with me everywhere. So he was like, he would sleep like anywhere. He would sleep while I was working. I took him to like a live show one time, which like earmuffs, and he just passed out in my arms. I held him the whole time. Like, if I wanted to do anything with my friends, like he was there too, and it's so funny. Yeah, I think he is very much like that. He's super chill, and Sugar Taco really is his second home. Like, it's like he knows it so well. It was like the place he took his first steps. It's like
that is so amazing.
So when you finally opened Sugar Taco, like when was the moment that you knew like, okay, like we're gonna be okay, this is working? Because I'm sure like the first couple of days you're like, oh my God, everything has to go well.
I mean, I don't know if I've hit that moment yet.
But you're opening your third location, so.
I think entrepreneurship is like, you kind of have to have the mindset of like, everything can go south at any second.
Right.
It's like, my business partner and I were literally just talking about this yesterday on the phone, is that someone had asked her like, how do you like do all this and not like have a heart attack every day? And she's like, well, I just like go in expecting everything to be wrong, and then when it's not, I'm pleasantly surprised. But it's like, it's kind of true. I mean, we did, well, at first it was like a little slow when we first opened, like people were still like learning, you know, that we were there, and then we started to do really well, and then COVID hit, and we had to shut down the business, and it was like, oh my gosh, like no one had any idea. Like if you ask anyone who owned a business, or especially a restaurant in LA, it was like, we might have to like, this might be the end of our business. So yeah, we didn't know. And then we opened up to do takeout, and then like, you know, and then we had the brief period where they made everyone close again, and then open up for real, and then open up for takeout. It was just kind of like, it taught us a lot of adaptability, I will say. And yeah, I think it's just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I do believe in my heart and soul that it's going to be okay, because there's so much heart and passion in this project, and it's not in all our projects. It's like I said, it comes just from like our desire to help change the world, and desire to show people that like you can eat food that is delicious and cultural and has like all the kind of significance, and it doesn't have to harm animals. We also, we are a carbon neutral business. We like take a lot of pride in that. We do everything possible to like make the smallest imprint that we can. So yeah, I think like, I just truly believe that if that's like what you have at the heart of it, like I just don't see us not succeeding. Because we already have succeeded. We have people, most of our customer base is not vegan. I met like 5 new customers yesterday that was all their first time in, that they were like, I'm trying to go plant-based, and this is like so awesome. And I'm just like, that like, it just fuels me.
Wow. That to me is so inspiring. Well, before I say this next bit, I want to say that their horchata is so good.
Everything is so good.
It. Like if I'm coming from the west side, I'll stop by like the Sherman Oaks location before I go home, and I will get one to take home. I get them in a cute little glass. I've done that so many times. But I think it's so inspiring that when you open a vegan restaurant, you probably think that most people coming in are going to be vegan, and you're going to really be held up by the vegan community, but like it's not possible. Like I don't think you can have a restaurant and only have vegans come in. I think you would sadly fail. So it's like
a lot of them do.
It's inspiring that so many non-vegans like frequent your restaurant and like the other vegan restaurants, and they like it and they keep coming back even though they're not vegan.
Why do you think that is? Like, what do you think it is about Sugar Taco where they're like, I'll try this?
Well, you know what? When we first opened, a lot of people didn't even realize we were vegan, and we didn't advertise being vegan.
I love that.
We wanted
I
that.
love that.
Yeah. It's funny, like actually, like now it's like a lot of those customers are regulars, and like they've like, even though they're not fully vegan, they're like so much more open to a lot of plant-based foods. But I did get a negative review recently that was like, after coming here 3 times, I just discovered that everything is plant-based. Like, I'm so pissed. You should have to have said this. Like, I ate the tacos every time and had no idea it wasn't meat. Like, this is deception.
That's a compliment.
Like, I know.
Why are you offended?
You came back 3 times, so you clearly liked it.
Why are you offended?
You're like, you think that you gave me a bad review, but it's actually a great review.
Exactly.
And now that
person, but actually complimenting you.
Now when they think about it, they're gonna be like, oh wait, that was really good. Oh, I could eat vegan.
You really don't need to advertise it, because I feel like the vegans will know. Like the vegans know it's vegan.
I was like, that's the thing. Like the vegans will find out. Like I will find any vegan food within it.
I think that's really smart. I love when vegan restaurants don't advertise it or put it anywhere, because that a lot of times people will see the word vegan and walk away. Not even have a chance.
They don't want to.
So
and it's like it's food. It's like, and it's honestly the most natural, best food.
So tell us about Azúcar Tequila. I'm really excited about that. Like,
so
how did this come about, and
Azúcar came about as a sister company to Sugar Taco, because you know, like all these different like beverage companies are obviously doing really well. We wanted to do one that was tequila based, that was owned by women, that was still a small business, and that we could obviously like launch within our restaurants. So it really was just born of that, like just a very complimentary like company to have. So we took a long time. Like we actually were part of the process of like making the tequila. We're like working very closely like with that, and that took like a year, and that was just the tequila, and like not even the rest of the seltzer. So then we use like real organic fruit and everything, so not just like most stuff is like artificially flavored.
Yeah.
So then we had to test all that and like get the recipes right for that, and they're delicious. Like I don't even drink often, but like I love our drinks, and that's so great because they're like a light option, you know, which I think people love, but like they still are like fruity and refreshing, and have like real agave tequila. So that will launch hopefully also at the end of the year. We're kind of pushing to hope for that for Dia de Muertos launch.
Oh yeah.
Like around then. But yeah, the cans are all done. They're super cute. We do all the design.
They're
and
really
everything
cute.
ourselves, so it's like, oh, did you see
Yeah.
that? So it's like a seltzer. Yeah, it's a tequila seltzer.
Will people be able to find it outside of Sugar Taco?
Yes,
Is that the
so
goal?
we're launching in a Sugar Taco, but then we have multiple partnerships set up with a few different grocery stores and some other like bars and restaurants in LA.
Amazing.
But we want to be everywhere. I mean, the goal obviously is to get into
course.
like Target and Whole Foods and like all
Yeah,
that.
of course.
So yeah,
Will
that'll
happen.
be towards the end of the year as well. And then we're opening up our third Sugar Taco location in Long Beach, and we're very excited. It's like such a cool spot, and we really took our time with finding this location. And I love Long Beach. I have family in Long Beach, so we're super excited to be there.
Hannah loves Long Beach.
I love
too.
Long Beach. I lived there for many years, so yeah, it's close to my heart. I'm always like, I want to go back.
No, and
That Long Beach pride is like strong.
Yeah. It's such a cool area. There's so much more vegan stuff popping up there. And honestly, because I'm obviously going there a lot now because we're under construction, and so I'm like overseeing all of that with our GC. But every time I'm there, I'm like, this is so much cleaner than LA.
I know.
Yeah.
LA really kind of went, especially after 2020.
Yeah.
So. But you're opening up a new restaurant.
Yeah, tell us
also
about
in Long
that.
Beach.
Yeah, so actually directly next door to our Sugar Taco location, we're opening up the Plant Butchers, which is a vegan butcher shop and deli. And I'm so excited for this because this is a really exciting project for me. I said excited twice, it's fine.
We're all very excited.
We're all excited.
Yes, very
super
much.
excited in case you didn't catch that. So I am doing a lot of the recipes myself, and that's not something I've previously done. My fiance actually is our head chef. I met him because he was our head chef for Sugar Taco, and so he did most of that. I mean, I worked on stuff with him, but a lot of the stuff for the Plant Butchers will be my own creations, and it's so fun to be able to do that, as well as obviously we're doing the whole design for everything there, and in addition to like our selection of meats and cheeses, we are gonna have like ready-made items. We have a little like bulk grocery store for like, so you can get like organic bulk stuff with like obviously plastic free, which is so important to me. That's like maybe the thing I'm most excited for, to like be able to offer that. But yeah, I think we're gonna have a ton of stuff, and we're gonna have like feature a lot of other vegan small businesses within that little grocery mart in there too. So it's gonna be such a fun project.
Oh my gosh,
so
I'm like
exciting.
excited
That's
for
so
Long
exciting.
Beach, but jealous because I want that to be
I
closer to me.
I know. Will we see a Plant Butcher opening up in Sherman Oaks next to Sugar Taco? That's what I want to know as a Valley resident.
Confirmed yet, but it is in the works right now.
Wow.
Okay,
I
good.
knew
I was gonna say the same thing as Hannah. Like, I'm happy it's happening, but Long Beach is hard.
Yeah.
Just be able to pop in.
Just manifest, trying to manifest something
Yes.
a little closer.
How exciting.
Well, I would love to pick your brain about motherhood. You are a mom, and especially your oldest is 5, you said?
He's just about to turn 5.
Just about to turn 5. So I would love to know, just like, you know, I'm pregnant, so I'll be a mom soon, and I'm just like so interested in what the future looks like. I've started to realize that I ask myself questions all the time as situations come up, like, how would I answer that, or how would I handle that? So how, you know, as your son has gotten older, have you experienced like things with other parents that make things like a little complicated, and like how do you explain veganism to him? Is he aware of it?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously when he was younger, it wasn't really an issue because he was always with me, or like the only other person he was ever with was my mom, who clearly like knows that we're vegan.
Yeah.
But as he's gotten older, it has become more of a thing where like now first it was when he started preschool, I had to like tell them, you know, and that preschool, like, which maybe you'll experience in some schools, like really push a lot of like sweets on the kids, like they'll do like just like have them all the time to give. So like I had to like have a conversation about like, okay, well, please let me know if you're going to do that so I can provide something. And you could tell the teachers were kind of like, oh, like this is annoying. But most of the people are cool. We've met a few other parents who are vegan, or they're like very accepting of it and cool about it, and they'll like ask a lot of questions and like be sure if like he's ever having a play date that they know like what he's going to eat. But he has started, I mean, probably like a year ago, he started to be like, he understands that he knows we don't eat meat, and he actually will like ask people like, our neighbor, he went up there to their place, because we live in like condos, and he went up there to play with her one day, and I guess that like she had been eating fish sticks, and he was like, why do you eat fish? Fish are our friends. And so he, but it was like a year ago, and he'll still talk about it. Like if we went to the beach, and we were like walking over the canals in Venice the other day, and you can like see the fish, and he was like, oh, look at the fish. Alex eats fish.
Alex is never gonna live that down.
A year ago, I'm like, yeah, babe, it's like that.
Wow, I love that he like recognized that.
And he started also around a year ago being like, oh, does that have cow's milk? I don't eat cow's milk. And he would like say that, and like cow's milk is for cow babies, because he would just like ask questions very matter-of-factly. So I answered them matter-of-factly, and I try really hard, because it's like, I do find it interesting and kind of like, not so much a struggle, but I feel like I'm being very careful, because while these are very much like my ethics and I believe this is right, I also don't want to be like preaching to him. I think that children have a very like good understanding of like being compassionate and like understanding like right and wrong, and you don't really have to tell them much more. Like if they know like, oh yeah, if you want that like that cow milk, we take it away from cow babies. Like they're like, what? Why would you do that? Or like, oh yes, that's a pig. And they're like, what, a pig? And you're like, yes, that pig was killed. They're like, what's wrong with you people? Like, I don't feel like you have to like indoctrinate them, like, because it's just presenting them with the facts. So yeah, I just like answer things very matter-of-factly. And now he's so funny, he came home, he's in surf camp right now. He came home the other day and was like, Mama, I got ice cream, it's vegan. Like he knows the word vegan, he tells people he's vegan. Like, so I just think it's
he's
like,
so cool.
Cute.
I know. I want to hang out with them.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry that someone isn't going to understand that he's vegan, and like maybe it's like communication's going to be off and they're going to give him something that's not vegan? I feel like I'd be horrified at that.
Yeah, it happened at surf camp, even though I told them, like I told the main instructor, like I wrote it in the email, like Rio knows, but like one of the other instructors I guess wasn't informed, and like gave him like some kind of chocolate. But when he came home, he told me that his tummy was hurting, and I was just like, I just had a feeling. I was like, I just feel like this kid ate dairy. Like, I don't know. So I like texted the teacher, and he like was like, no, I don't think so. But then he was like, oh my gosh, I just found out, yes, and I'm so sorry, that will never happen again. So, but I also feel like, I don't know, I just try not to, like, it's just, you know, it's the intention that matters. As like early on as a vegan, and like the first like decade of me being a vegan, I feel like I was so, like if I ever had a mistake, which wasn't even of my own doing, like if there was something in something, I would be distraught. Be like, my streak is ruined, like I'm tainted, like someone cleanse me.
I'm back to day one.
Exactly. Like it's like they're gonna like take your vegan chip away, you know? It's like I would be really like really upset about it. And now I try to like look at it as like, it's not a competition for purity. Like it's just about like your ethics and like living true to that lifestyle, and like anything else, like any other ethics in life, it's like just a constant like learning and trying your best, and like beating yourself up or like stressing out that my kid was given that isn't gonna like help anything. I know that we're like living in a way that is kind, and so that's like what I just try to focus on that.
Beautiful. I love that so much. And I love that you said that you just present him with the facts too, because I have a lot of people asking me already, is your kid gonna be vegan? And I'm like, or are you going to force your kid to be vegan? And I'm like, I'm not forcing anything. If
like,
anything,
they force their kids to eat meat.
And to me, when kids start asking those questions, because I remember asking those questions when I was like old enough to recognize like where my food came from, you're not presenting them with the facts, because you're telling them, oh, we're meant to eat meat, like we're meant to eat dairy. That's what animals are here for. But then you're confusing them, because we talked about it like just earlier today, because then you take them to the county fair and then you're like, pet the piggy, feed the piggy, aren't they so cute? Like, and it's like, No,
Yeah.
you're making it more confusing. If anything, you're not presenting them with the facts. The facts are that we do take
That had to die
Yeah.
to be on, get on your plate.
to be food.
And I guarantee you, when non-vegan kids make that connection, like, oh wait, chicken? Is this the same chicken? That's like, you know, like a chicken? I'm like, yeah. Like, why do we eat the chicken? Like, I guarantee you, parents have to like convince them, like, no, this is fine.
It's
because-
good for you.
Because
It makes
we
you
all
strong.
eat chicken. That's what they're meant. Like, you have to like convince them. Whereas like with veganism, like you don't have to. It's just like, no, it's a chicken. Why would you eat a chicken? Yeah, you're right. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, for instance, my my older brother, when his kids, because he's my half brother and he's like 11 years older than me, so he had kids he had them young. So when I was 10 years old, it's like those kids like grew up, you know, around me. Yeah, when I was very young still, and so they're like 6 and 5 when I was first vegan. And I explained things to them, and he got so pissed, and then had to be like, no, that's not true. Like, you know, like what you said isn't true. But I'm like, you are lying to them. I was just answering their questions. I didn't like force it on them. I just didn't lie to them. Yeah. So I agree.
It's an
like,
awkward thing, right? Because I've been around kids with their parents, and they're like, why are you vegan? And then I tell them that, and I'm like, well, like, I don't know if their parents going to get upset with me telling them just like the honest truth. I just don't want to participate in this unnecessary slaughter of animals. I just don't think it's for me, and I don't have to consume them to be healthy. But it's like, you never know if like the parents gonna be like, stop that, you know? It's like, like,
stop what? Telling
them
the truth?
Yeah, stop telling them the truth, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's your responsibility to change who you are as a person.
I know.
Because someone else doesn't want to tell their kids the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm assuming that your son was vegan from birth, and I'm curious if you have run into anything with like pediatricians or doctors. Like, I haven't told my doctor that I'm vegan. She's never asked me if I'm vegan. I just do my blood tests, and if I'm deficient in something, we supplement, but luckily I haven't been deficient in anything. And so I'm just curious how I'm going to approach that now once I have a baby. Like, you know, do I share that with them? Is that their business, or is it more just their business that the baby's healthy?
Right. Yeah, when I was pregnant, because I didn't have great insurance, and I didn't really have a good choice of like who I had to go to like for an OB and stuff. Like, I did get a little bit of pushback there, but I truly just did not give a fuck. Like, I don't care what you think, and I know that medical doctors often know nothing about nutrition.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm way more like well versed in this than you, so it doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just here to get these tests done and move along with it. So I feel like that was pretty much my attitude. And I had a nurse in the hospital when he was born say something too, but also, again, don't care. And, and then now I've found so many awesome pediatricians who, even if they're not plant-based, they like have a like very like good understanding of it and are all for it. So I think that it's really it's changing so much every day. It's becoming easier and easier. But yeah, you don't even have to tell them, because like vegan kids are healthy. You're not deficient in anything. Yeah. If you're eating like a varied and whole foods diet, then you're good.
It's crazy to me how like people are so worried about vegans being deficient and stuff. When I would take blood panels when I wasn't vegan, and I was deficient and stuff, and then going vegan, I'm not deficient in anything. Like, I'm literally, my blood panels always show up amazing. Like, if anything, it's vitamin D, but we're all a little deficient in that. Like, let's be honest, because we don't go outside. But like, you know, it's just crazy to me that that's always like the number one concern, and I'm just like gearing up for the pushback of people to be like, well, what do you do to ensure that they're getting all of their nutrients? And I'm like,
what do you do?
You're
to
feeding your
sure
child
that you're getting all
Goldfish.
and dino nuggets.
Goldfish. That's the thing I've noticed is like
Dino nuggets with ketchup.
Like, are you the pinnacle of health with your dino nuggets? Like,
Right.
what are you talking about?
Dipping
Like
it in
getting
sugar
the like
ketchup.
McDonald's like drive-through, but then like telling you you're a bad parent.
Yeah.
I think I almost think that's like smart to just not tell people that they're that you or the child is vegan, because then you don't have to stomach that, like, you know, you shouldn't, or just like unwanted opinions. It's like, I didn't ask you.
I mean, it sounds like your son is very strong in his convictions, and like I feel like he has a really, really good understanding of veganism. But do you ever worry about like when he gets a little bit older that maybe kids will bully him, or that he'll get like, you know, a little bit of flack?
Yeah, I mean, I think my concern for bullying is less, because like I said, I really do think it's changing so much. Like, so many more people know what veganism is. I know that he's going to encounter other vegan kids. Like, he's never going to be the experience that like some of us had where there wasn't anyone else. Like, there are other people, and he has us, like his whole family, whereas like I was just me and my family. So not so worried about the bullying, but I have definitely worried like maybe he'll, be influenced by his friends who aren't and like decide that he doesn't want to eat this way, but I have to just like let that go because he's ultimately like even though he's a child, he's his own person. Like he can make his decisions. All I can do is like present him with the facts and teach him like, how to be compassionate and loving and hope that like he makes those same decisions for himself.
I say the same thing when people ask me because I'm like, I know growing up, like I would not listen to every single thing my parents said. Some things you just have to learn on your own. You just have to touch the hot stove just to learn. And so if that's part of his journey, then that's part of his journey.
Exactly.
And he's like a sugar taco baby. So he's like around such great food all the time that like I feel like even if he tried to eat non-vegan, he'd be like, "What? This is disgusting."
I know.
I would honestly am curious about like, I feel like we know a few people that have been on the show that were like born vegan, but it's very, very rare. So I am curious that these kids that are growing up vegan, because there's a lot more of them now, that if they ever did try meat, like what they would think. Because anytime I've accidentally had it, like you talk about having a mistake, I'm like, this tastes foul.
Yeah, foul.
Like so wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it does not taste like food.
Yes. Even smelling it.
Yeah.
Ugh, even smelling it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, it used to not bother me as much, but as I've gotten older and more into my veganism, I'm like, the smell of meat and eggs is just like,
Oh God.
Yeah.
Even within the vegan community, there's a lot of criticism and there's a lot of backlash and like people wanting to tell you what to do. Like, what have you experienced even just within the vegan community? And is it the most inclusive place at times?
Yeah, I think it can, be definitely a little exclusionary with like amongst other vegans and towards people who would maybe be interested in eating plant-based or like, are just kind of learning about veganism. I think that there's a lot of like perfectionism, something that like I've literally just been about to talk about on TikTok, because I know this is like, it's gonna upset people, but like, so I wanna do a video that's like why I wear leather as a vegan. So let me clarify. I have become like almost my entire wardrobe is secondhand. I try to be like to everything in my house pretty much too. It's like I've bought secondhand, I've got from yard sales or whatever. Awesome. Like I want to reduce and reuse as much as possible. We have enough stuff in the world. Not that I'm like, I'm not like a purist where I can never get something new. I just like try to do the best I can. Yeah. That being said, like if I'm trying to find shoes, sometimes it's really hard to find like vegan shoes secondhand, but there's plenty of leather secondhand. And I, for a long time, would like never ever wear it, would like cry if I saw it. And then I realized, okay, it makes so much more sense for me to wear this thing that, yes, unfortunately is leather, but is already in existence, rather than to pay for plastic, like vegan leather, most of it is like plastic, to be made, which like causes further destruction to the world, like harms more animals, harms the world in general. So because of that, like I've faced like backlash for that, just like, I just feel like a lot of times the vegan community is like so caught up in like being vegan police that we're not
100% perfect.
Celebrating the wins, that we're not like being like, okay, honestly, every little change people make is great and none of us are perfect. And like if we're so caught up on like nitpicking what other people are doing, I mean, it becomes to me very much like how a lot of churches are. Where it's like you're missing the entire point and the entire message. And I think also of just like, treating, and I definitely have been guilty of this. Like when I was a new vegan and a hardcore activist, like I was like a rage in your face activist, like you are killing animals and like wearing fur is wrong. Like I was like covered in blood at the like fur protest, like I was all about it. And like there's a time and place for that. And I don't regret any of those actions. But you make a bigger impact being kind to people and sweet to people and like understanding than being raging at them and being like angry or telling them everything they've done wrong or like why they're a terrible person. And most people aren't terrible people. They just haven't come to the same point you're at in your journey. And like maybe this could be a teaching moment for them, but not if you're gonna be an asshole. So I've like had to really learn that, and like now I see it so much in the community, and I'm like, oh guys, like we can do this better. We can So for me, like with our restaurants, that's a lot of it. I'm like, okay, like like we talked about, so many people, so many of our customers are not plant-based, have never even eaten plant-based, definitely not vegan, and so they're coming in and trying something for the first time and having like a positive experience and not having someone like lecture them, but like there's information to be found there. Like at our Melrose location, we have a whole wall where it's painted like statistics about like you know, how much like water you save and land you save and stuff like that. So it's like there's ways to teach people that isn't like making them feel horrible.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
I have a new opinion about, or something that I came to the realization, like regarding the leather thing, is if you have, and I'm curious what everybody who's watching this thinks, if you have old leather or you have something that's not vegan, and you're either planning on selling it or giving it away to someone who is okay with wearing it, I almost think it like still creates that value for like a brand or leather. People are like, oh, I want it because it's leather. Oh, I want it because it's like a crocodile purse, or I want it because it's this and it's bougie and it's like Louis Vuitton or whatever it is. I almost feel like it's safer being with you because then you're taking it out of the system, and like you as a vegan know that it's not valuable for that anymore. Like you have it because you have it and you paid for it, or it was a gift or whatever, but it's like you're taking it out of circulation and you're not like you're not leaving it, or you're not sending it to a thrift store or like selling it on Poshmark for someone else to crave and want that fashion and want that animal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I still don't know how I like fully feel about that, because then it means like I have it, but I think I almost feel like it's just safer staying with me and then maybe using it. But I don't know. Like I don't know. Like it's
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
it's hard.
I also feel like what you're talking about too is something that a lot of vegans have, this like journey through their veganism, where when we first go vegan, we're like, must be pure, must be the best possible vegan possible. And then we're looking at other people too, like, are you actually vegan? Like,
Like leather.
And then like the longer you've been vegan, the more you're like, okay, like I just honestly like anything is better than nothing, and
trying to make the best choice possible. Like,
Exactly.
if I'm purchasing something that's new, like trying to like make like a conscious choice and like purchase from brands that are sustainable, blah blah. Like when possible, when you can.
we like to ask our guests what their one last meal would be. Like your one last meal on earth, like what would it be?
Definitely, my fiance makes the most amazing mac and cheese. Probably like a truffle mac and cheese with breadcrumbs, Caesar salad, just like the classics for me. And then like chocolate chip cookies.
Oh yeah, chocolate chip cookies fresh out of the oven. That's like total comfort meal.
Yeah.
So good. Well, thank you so much for being here. We definitely need to have you back on. So you guys comment down below and peer pressure her to come back on and talk about, you know, sustainability and greenwashing. Like I have a lot of questions about that as well. So definitely make sure you follow Nia. We'll put all of her social media in the description box down below, along with all of her amazing businesses. You guys, if you are in LA, please support, and definitely get the tequila if you can.
Get
Like,
your chata.
we like
Get your
female-owned, vegan-owned tequila company. Like, come on.
Love
The
that.
only tequila I'm gonna buy.
I know. Melina and I love tequila, so as soon as I pop out this baby, like we're getting on. Well, maybe we'll do an episode with it.
Yeah.
That'll actually probably align.
First time drinking after the baby.
Yes.
I have to film that.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming. It was so great having you.
All right, well, like I said, we'll link everything in the description box. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Comment below if you have any opinions on anything we said. I feel like we covered a lot of good topics in this episode. So we want to hear what you guys have to say. And don't forget to follow us on social media, join our Facebook group, and we will see you next week for another episode.
Bye.